Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. It seems a bit surreal that the first thing I did as councillor was move the motion to bring back the Royal Summit, and here we are, almost at the end of the term, still discussing it, which I think really reinforces and highlights some of the comments that we've heard today from my colleagues around the fact that this hadn't happened for 16 years, and the fact that we are having the conversation is a big deal, and in and of itself was a big step forward for rural Ottawa to spend so much time talking about rural issues around the council table this term of council. When I brought back this initiative, the goal was never to simply have public meeting. The goal was to restore a meaningful forum where rural residents could speak directly about the services, policies, infrastructure, the things that really affect their lives in rural Ottawa. And more importantly, where that input would lead to action. And we've heard some thoughts on that today and how to track that and ensure accountability on that as well. And rural Ottawa represents an absolutely enormous part of the city geographically, over 80%. But in a municipality such as Ottawa, it can easily be overshadowed by the pressures of and priorities from urban and suburban communities. And the summit was about putting those issues squarely back on the city's agenda and giving residents, businesses, farmers, community organizations, and everyone who came out a direct role in identifying those priorities and potential solutions. We had more than 250 residents who participated in the November 2024 Rural Summit, following months of consultation and the work of our amazing resident working group who were just fantastic during this process, and we couldn't have done it without them. We heard about roads, we heard about ditches, transportation, emergency response, we heard about recreation, economic development, agriculture, and growth. But I think something that cuts across all of that, and the most important message, at least to me as part of this, is that the city, it needs to recognize, and I believe has through this process, that delivering a service in rural Ottawa is not the same as delivering it in urban or suburban Ottawa. I think today's report demonstrates that bringing the Rural Summit back has made a difference. We have doubled the ditch maintenance budget, expanded the city's capacity to do that work, and we're seeing that. We're hearing that today, that we are seeing that visually every single day in our ward. We have dedicated paramedic response units in Kinburn, Richmond, and Metcalfe. We have a rural economic development plan and an established dedicated rural business liaison. And perhaps, more importantly than that, we never make it through an Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee without mentioning Laurel McCrate as the newest member of the Rural Affairs Office and strengthening that. And those are just a few of the things that we've talked about today that are actually tangible outcomes, and I think they are worth recognizing and they are worth celebrating. And I want to thank staff, Laurel, not just you, but staff from across the organization who have taken the feedback from the summit seriously and moved this forward in a meaningful way. We can see that the city is taking this seriously. Today we have, I would say, the bulk of our general managers and senior leadership. We have the city manager here today. The mayor has appeared at this committee to talk about the Rural Summit. But I think something that was also made very clear is that we are not finished. This is not the end of the process. There are major pieces of work still underway. Some will require decisions by the next council, some will require future budget investments, and some of these issues that residents raise will take years rather than months to fully address. So for me, the next step of this process is about accountability, and residents should be able to see in a simple and transparent way what we said we would do, what has been completed, what is underway, what remains outstanding, who is responsible for it, and when they can reasonably expect a result. And that is why I believe we need a clear action tracker coming out of this work to identify all of that and give people a good idea of when they can see results. And I'm sure that I do have my colleagues' support on that motion. The report commits to a coordinated work plan through the Rural Affairs Office. But as this work continues, I want to make sure committee and council have sufficiently regular reporting and actually can track the progress. Because the next Rural Summit should not be starting from scratch. Residents should be able to walk into that summit and see, here is what you told us in 2024, here is what we've accomplished, and here is what remains outstanding, and now where do we go from here? Bringing back the Rural Summit was about rebuilding a stronger, more consistent relationship between rural residents and their municipal government. And I believe that the measure of success was never going to be whether we held a successful event in November 2024. The measure of success is whether rural residents can look around their communities in the years that come and see that something has changed. And I think today's report shows that that change has begun. And our job now is to make sure that it continues. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you to everyone in this room who played a role in this process. And let's continue the great work that we've done over this course of the process and the term of council. Thank you.